This is Julien, and welcome to the second preview video of my new 12-month-long interactive digital program, Transformation Mastery Academy, which is my new online course that has a very set curriculum where everything is laid out for you step by step and includes monthly missions and challenges to make true personal transformation for you inevitable.
I felt so much shame when it comes to being me. And now I don't feel that shame anymore.
This program features the latest, most cutting-edge transformational teachings that took me over a decade to figure out and perfect, traveling all around the world, teaching them to tens of thousands of people face-to-face and millions online. And with these new methods, with these new processes combined with real-world action-based missions and challenges, you will finally stomp out self-sabotage. You will start jumping at opportunities. You will quiet that hum of anxiety that's just constantly going on, poisoning your life. You will let go of stress, of constantly being overwhelmed, and you will finally be back in charge of your life.
It's just the best experience of my life, what I just had today.
I didn't even know what was happening. Like, my hands were just shaking, and it was just like me being my authentic self.
I really want to thank each and every one of you out of the bottom of my heart. Thank you, guys.
Now, with Transformation Mastery Academy, I want to make sure that you're completely supported and have what you need to do the work and take action on the different transformational missions and challenges. You see, too often do I see people invest in themselves only to not follow through. They have a whole collection of different programs on their desktop, virtually gathering dust because they just couldn't do the work. With Transformation Mastery Academy, you will not have this option. I've created a very supportive experience for you here where success is inevitable. You will not have a choice. You will have everything you need, and I will make sure of it for you to transform. And what I've created for you here is a secret VIP mastermind Facebook group that's there to support you and hold you accountable. You see, when you join Transformation Mastery Academy, you become part of my tribe, part of my team, part of my family. And I got your back now. And my coaches and I will be there with you every single step of the way, making sure you have all the support you need. In this secret VIP mastermind group, you will not only be directly hooked up to my coaches and I, but you will also be connected to other members going through the exact same transformational missions and challenges as you. And you'll be able to talk to each other, you'll be able to network and exchange notes, you'll be able to have each other's backs and hold each other accountable. You see, you will not be alone in this. This isn't a program where you invest in yourself and then you're just left on your own to figure it out. This is a program where I make sure that you're supported every single step of the way. In this group, you'll be surrounded by the highest quality people, people who are dedicated to change, people who are committed to change, people who are ready to change and who have invested in themselves. This isn't a group where we discuss trivial stuff. We keep it very focused, okay? A lot of people in life, they major in minor things. We're gonna be majoring in major things. So welcome to the Transformation Mastery Tribe. Click the link here below right now to join this tribe. Become part of my family, part of my clique. I got your back now. Click the link here below to begin right now. Now, in this next segment, I sit down with one of my good friends and mentors, and we reveal for the very first time the biggest secret to our success. You see, we're no different than you. We don't have some special secret power. We're not smarter. We're just regular people, but we do have this one secret weapon, this one thing that's working for us, which made all the difference. Now, be sure to stay with us until the end of this video, because at the very end, I have a very special announcement for you that's going to change the game for you here. So stay tuned for that and enjoy.
Releasing trauma is an area that I think is one of the most important anybody can do, if not the single most important anybody can do. And the reason why is that once you know what you're looking at in society, what you're gonna see is that most people live their life just trying to medicate or escape or stuff down trauma. It's the funniest thing. Once you see it everywhere. Similar to, say you learn success of women, and you look around, you'll see girls doing what's called a shit test, where they test the guy and act a bit bratty. Or you see a guy being very self-amused and is pumping the girl's state up and making her like him, or guys are creating social proof environments and you're seeing all the women chase down the guy, or you see a guy who's very expansive in his energy and unstifled and you see women getting attracted. When you know what you're looking for, this whole other world opens up to you. And Julien is somebody who spent years and years back in the day learning about success of women and dating, and that really taught him the process of opening up his eyes and seeing beneath the surface, looking beneath the surface, not just looking at what you're told to look at, but looking below the surface and what everybody else is looking at. The idea of releasing trauma, releasing low vibration energy, and the fact that we're constantly medicating it and running away from it, and really the worst part, being run by it. Very literally being run by our traumas to the point that we're not even in control, and our trauma energy is seeking out ways to keep replaying those traumas again and again because it's an actual parasite that's feeding on you. The fact that most people don't know what that is in our society, the fact that most of the products being sold are things to just pump people with more low vibration energy. I mean, stop and think about that. People go out on the weekend, they're like, let's get crunk, let's get crunk. Well, you know what let's get crunk means. All that you hear is, I have trauma, I need to medicate it, I have trauma. We're gonna medicate the trauma, woo, woo, woo. It's literally a fucking joke. And you see this everywhere. Guys like, I'm tough, I would never cry, I'm tough. And it's like, you're stuffing. You're actually weak. You have control muscles, but not release muscles. So what this kind of work does is it teaches you, you know how as men, we learn our whole lives, control muscle, control muscle, control muscle? What this does is it teaches you release muscle. If you think about yourself as a boat, most guys, they've got this huge sail, and they've got the rudder, and then they've got the paddles. And they're frantically paddling the fucking boat while trying to bail out the water out of it in any way that they can, when they don't even realize they have a sail right there and they can just move the rudder. And there's like this happy group of slaves that will just bail the boat out for you, and you think you have to do it all yourself while you're paddling them. So that being the case, what you're learning here today is something that will change your life dramatically. It's really, really fucked up that we haven't had a huge degree of awareness of this in the past, but I think something that people forget. I'm sitting here, I'm 38 years old. When I grew up, I used a rotary phone. I would sit there just going, like, my phone number back then was 224-9181. I go 2, 4, 9, 1, 8, 1, and check it out. If people didn't pick up the phone, you'd have to call again and decide if you're gonna be rude or not to call again. There's no text. In addition, if it was busy, you'd also have to call again. And if you went out to a concert, or say out here in Vegas, and you lost track of your friend, you weren't gonna see them till the next day. And that's even if you could even get them on the phone the next day, because half the time they're not even answering. And usually you'd have to run to their fucking house in order to go track them down. Now, that's the technology that I grew up in. Our parents grew up with black and white TV, no internet. I mean, I was using a pager when I was in my teens. If there was a really important call, you'd put 911. If you had a question, you'd put 411. If it was really bad, you'd put 911, 911, 911, and then you'd have to socially calibrate. You know, here we do social calibration. We'd have to socially calibrate how many 911s to put, if it was appropriate or not, or if it was like the boy crying wolf. And these were the kind of communication that we had. So, I mean, even as far as like vehicles, it was something like 50 years ago that we were in these super heavy vehicles. People didn't even use seatbelts. If they got in a car crash, they'd fly through the window and just bleed out. How long ago was World War II? 70, 80 years ago? 70 to 80 years ago, regular little wimpy North Americans like us and Europeans who, you know, we like our iPhones and we like our Starbucks and all that, we're sitting in trench warfare, shooting each other, murdering each other in the hundreds of millions. There's places in the world where things along those lines still go on today, but, you know, certain people are coming out of it. So you have to understand that a lot of our understanding of the world is still very new, and a lot of these concepts in this general direction will be taught in the future. But right now what you have is a mainstream education system where they're taught really great stuff, you know, math, geography, English, science. From that I can remember, you know, cell membrane in a plant, mitosis in human beings, osmosis. I remember that salt was HNO3, what is salt? What is it? NC what? NaCl is salt? Sodium chloride. Okay, so I don't even know that. Water's H2O. I can remember that, at one point I used to memorize where the countries of Central America, Nicaragua, Honduras, I can't remember for shit where those are now, but I've spent a lot of years memorizing that at the time. I got as far as trinomial factoring, so I remember something about, there was a math thing, you do a division, I don't remember any of it. And I took Shakespeare, I learned King Lear, Where Art Thou, Romeo, something or other. Really great stuff, okay? Helped me a lot in my life now. We can see I use those things every day. I want to speak here clear. To be fair, I think that the modern education system compared to what most people have is a big improvement. A lot of people, look, no system's perfect, right? A lot of people who created the education system busted their fucking ass, spent their life to create the education system that I'm now mocking. I think that that's still a huge upgrade, okay? So don't get me wrong. I think that those people did great shit. But just because they did great shit, what's been happening in our education system is that the heaviness of the bureaucracy and unionization has made it where the school system's not able to move forward that much. And we have some bits of private education, and that can move it forward to an extent. There's schools that do that, but we're sort of stuck. Now, most people are not going to be taught entrepreneurship at a high level. Most people don't know what a basic sales funnel is. They don't even understand really what offering value is. The average person thinks that most rich people are living in a conspiracy, sacrificing goats and doing crazy shit, and that's why they're rich. They don't, which I'm cool if you want to study that, and I actually think that's kind of fun. I love like David Icke. I think he's awesome. But the point is, like, I also run a business. Like, my thing is, like, watch David Icke. He's a conspiracy theorist. When you made your first six-figure check, like, if you haven't made a six-figure check yet, don't worry about the goat sacrifice. That's not why you're not making money. Like, even in the goat sacrificing conspiracy world, you can get a six-figure check. But a lot of guys will study that stuff as a way to justify why they can't make money because they're being held back by a goat. So what we have is, we have a modern education system that doesn't teach you a lot of this stuff. Now, don't take at face value anything that any teacher teaches you. Look at it with your own eyes. So when you go out today and in days after, look at what you're learning here with your own eyes and ask yourself, is this something that I can see? At first, it can be easier to see it in others, and eventually it becomes easier to see in yourself. Now, I've spoken on this before, I'll mention it briefly here, but the major reason why I think this is so critical is because we see so many people who start getting laid, who meet a great partner, who make a lot of money, and they're still fucking miserable. You'll see guys that are in great shape that will come to an event like Transformation Mastery and are bawling their eyes out. So I don't care, I've had a chance to hang out with a lot of the richest people, the best looking people, the people who travel the most, and they're basically still in this, say this after me, wherever you go, say that. Wherever you go, there you are. There you are. Say the whole thing. Wherever you go, there you are. So, and you've probably heard that before. It's a very cliched spiritual mumbo jumbo. What it means is that no matter how successful you are, if you don't fix what's inside yourself, you're still carrying all that weight with you. So one of the cool things about us having had the opportunity to meet a lot of really successful people, really fit people, people who have really great lives in the external, is getting to realize that they're often really fucking miserable on the inside, and that they carry that with them everywhere. So a really big part, of course, of learning this is learning the background theory. And once you have the background theory of it, now you can begin to see it in other places, see it in other people, and eventually, as you see it in other people, you can slowly begin to see it in yourself. It's very hard to look only at yourself. The human mind, we have an ego, we're trying to preserve our confidence, we don't want to shatter our sense of self, so it's very easy to go, hey, they're traumatized, hey, they're stuffing, hey, they're medicating. Harder to see it in yourself. But once you can start seeing others, you can start seeing yourself, or if you're able to not have that ego issue, you can just start seeing yourself right away and making change. The biggest challenge that I see is that you get into an environment like this, and you can see the potential. You see how important it is to fix what you have going on inside yourself, but then you go back into your regular group of friends, and none of them are talking about this. In fact, if you talk about these subjects, they'll typically roll their eyes. They don't want to hear it. They think that what you're saying is crazy talk, woo-woo talk. You could talk to them about the crazy stuff. You can talk about UFOs, aliens, Sasquatch. But whenever you bring up anything about some inner parasite that could be holding them back, they will rarely want to look at it. And this is where it gets really fucking trippy, because what you don't realize is you're speaking directly to the parasite. You are having a conversation with a mind that is being partially run by that parasite. So if you if you go to, as an extreme example, if you go to a homeless person and you say to them, hey man, rather than me giving you this $10, why don't I teach you how to make $1,000? Now, as an experiment, try to do that with a homeless person. Say, we're going to go make $1,000 right now. In most cases, but not all, and I have a lot of empathy, a lot of sympathy for what the homeless deal with. I've done Feed the Homeless drive before. It's amazing. It's very touching. I'm not speaking against that, but at the same time, when you speak to someone in that mindset, what you're going to see is their eyes are going to glaze over. They're going to avert that topic. The reason why in spiritual growth, what they say is that they don't resonate with that solution yet. Typically, people have to hit what with alcoholism? What's an alcoholic have to hit, guys? Rock bottom. What does a drug addict have to hit? What we forget is that addiction to negativity or low vibration energy or trauma energy, whatever you want to call it, that is an addiction. You're feeding an addiction that you're physically addicted on, no different than alcohol or drugs. You are addicted. So typically when you talk to anybody else about it, you're going to notice that they respond to it in the same way that a drug addict would about their drug addiction. Now, there's two layers to this because a lot of the way that we talk about this is within spiritual jargon. High vibration energy, low vibration energy, maybe a low vibrational entity or whatever that is. So of course, a lot of people that are more logical are going to take objection to that. And you know what? I don't blame them. I actually have no problem with that at all. But where it gets very, very interesting is that even if you talk about it within the framework of addiction to adrenaline, addiction to spikes of cortisol, or being trapped in your thoughts and unable to get into the flow, or things that are a little bit more mainstream and widely accepted, you're still typically going to see them shut it down. Or the really big one that I look at, I love doing serious talks like this, but I find it very interesting that there's many people who, if we were to sit up here joking the whole time, what is one of the greatest things that you could do for your own inner state? What is it? Joking and laughing. That's why we have a lot of videos or talks we've done where we laugh the whole time. Many people, when watching content where they're being taught something, but we're laughing throughout the video, will say that's fake. They'll say a talk that's a little bit more stern and kind of direct to the getting down to the business of being happy. They think that's more real. If I do videos that are quote unquote negative in tone, I get all these feedback in the comments. Finally, a breath of fresh air. RSD's being real. Laughing and having fun while teaching is fake. Because from their perspective, it can't even be real that you could just enjoy yourself having fun. Well, what's the point of going making all that money, meeting a great partner, meeting new people, having a great dating life, traveling, being fit, any of those things? What's the point of doing that if you're not laughing? What's the point of doing that if you're not smiling? What's the point of doing that if you're not having fun? At a certain point, you got to stop to smell the rose in life. You only get so many years. That's like if you have this retirement plan, you save and save and save, you stay frugal until the end of your life, and then you've got like $50 million left. You never spent any of it. You lived in a trailer. Well, good for you. You saved up. You won the money game, and now you're dead. You can't even spend the money. Laughter and laughing while you're in your day-to-day life is, you know, you're saving by doing good things for yourself, by moving your life forward, by taking action. You're moving your life forward, and by laughing during it, it's like a chance to spend the money. That laughter is the life that you built. You built your life so that you could go laugh and smile and have fun. A lot of people, if you say do a business meeting with them, if you laugh during that meeting, are offended because they think you're not taking it seriously. Me and Julien, we feel the opposite. If you're not laughing during that meeting, you don't take it seriously. You're one of those time-wasting dudes who's an emotional vampire who just likes to suck energy out of things. Why can't we enjoy everything? Obviously, if you're laughing so hard that you can't get to the point, that's different. But you can get to the point while having fun. Now, that being the case, what you have is a group of people that are very uneducated on this topic because we don't teach it in schools, and yourselves who are beginning to open your eyes to these topics. What you're going to see is that when you talk to most people about it, like I mentioned, you're speaking directly to the parasite. So if you say anything like cortisol addiction, adrenaline addiction, addiction to negativity, you can even point out to them, how much of your day do you spend enjoying your day, and how much of your day do you spend trapped in your head, stewing on things, being resentful on things, being negative on things, playing the victim, whatever it is? Do you not think maybe that's an addiction? What if you were to audit yourself and look at yourself? Could you maybe conceive that that's an addiction? And they'll always say the same thing. No, it's not an addiction. Some variation of that they've been victimized. And if my life would look different, then I would be happy. I don't want to be irrationally happy because then I wouldn't be motivated to fix it. What they're not understanding is that what they're saying is true. There is a healthy place for all human emotion. But what they're not realizing is that addiction to negativity is physically closing off their perception of the world. It's coloring their perception of the world to where anything positive that can happen, they can't see it. They're blind to it. If you want to learn more about this, Google Reticular Activation System, RAS. It's called selective focus. When you're in a positive, fun mood, you're in a resourceful state and you see and resonate with things that would move your life up. When you're in a negative mood, most of what you're going to see is going to be a problem. I believe there is a place for, there's a healthy version of depression. That's that version where you take a pause, you think about your life, it forces you to get introspective. You don't want to be bullish all the time. Sometimes you want to be in that bear mode, you know, like in the stock market, bull bear market. I've had a lot of events in my life where I've been having so much fun, I feel a bit depressed for a minute. It's almost like taking like a ayahuasca journey or something. We've never done that, but the point is like, actually haven't, but like it's almost like taking an ayahuasca journey. You get depressed, it kind of cycles your mind on what's going wrong, it kind of draws your attention to problems in your life, and there's a space for that for a minute. We evolved that for a minute, but then there's the point where that has to end. But what happens with most people, what are we taught in our society? Control, control, control. We're not taught to release. And so that energy becomes bunched on itself, right? Similar to cancer. You know, when cells are reproducing, that's a good thing. But a cancerous cell doesn't stop and it starts feeding on itself. It's unhealthy. And what we get in our psychology is a cancerous version of depression that starts feeding on itself. And now it's like, just like a cancer cell, it's sucking energy, coloring our perception, and there's a parasite running your fucking brain. And how do we know this? 2 ways. Why are we even qualified to teach this? 2 reasons that come to mind for me. Number 1, we learned a process of looking beneath the surface by studying success with women and teaching it. And you got to remember, we're not just like classroom teachers. You guys might watch videos where we're teaching in a classroom. 80 to 90% of any teaching Julien or I ever did was done, quote, in the field, out in real life. And what else are we doing in real life? We're meeting women, we're talking to students, we're meeting people in general. And what are we doing during this whole time? Observing, 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 observing. What are you seeing from any speaker who's been up here this week? They're highly observant people who don't just believe what's at the surface. We look what's going on beneath the surface, see it in others, and eventually own it, and then see it in ourselves. So what this work does is it says, wherever I go, there I am. I realize that I've got this negative energy, this cancerous parasite on myself. Why can these guys help? 1, because they've observed it. The other one is because they've been through it themselves. We, both Julien and I, have seen a lot of very extreme things. Extreme things that typical people wouldn't see, thank God. And we've been privileged to be able to see a lot of these things. And look, here's the bottom line. Once you start observing it, studying it, coaching it, this stuff will become so obvious to you. Now again, make your own decision, but from my perspective, from Julien's perspective, this stuff just becomes so obvious, it's just clear as day. And the key to it, and I think what I'm trying to get across here, is that most people are unable to take note of this because you come here, you study it, and what happens? You study it for a minute, and then you go back home, you forget about it. This is the problem that we saw because when Julien was coaching full-time in success with women, he would take some guy out to a bar, club, daytime venue, wherever, get them approaching girls, get them talking to girls, get them having fun, get them doing great. They go home, and what happens? They go back into negativity. They go back into these weird self-fulfilling prophecies. They go back into limiting beliefs. Imagine if you're coaching people for a decade and you're staying awake until 7 to 8, 9 a.m. sometimes with these guys, crying with them, talking with them, passionately motivating them, demonstrating some of the hardest interactions that you could ever do, showing it on a dime. Some guy's flown from across the world to come see you and you're under pressure, showing it to him, making hidden camera videos of it, trying to spread this message. You spend that weekend with somebody busting your butt, and what happens? In the end, they go back to what they used to do. Then from there, you're actually watching other guys who are getting better and better, maybe close friends of yours that are like your brothers, and then as they get higher and higher, suddenly they hit this weird success wall, and they start focusing on all the wrong things, start getting super fucking petty, believe what they're saying, and you can't talk them out of it, and then they implode and create all these problems with somebody who you love as a brother or as a friend or as family. And you watch that happen and you're like, and then you see how much they really believe what they're thinking and you're just like, oh my God, what is going on? And so for that reason, we just became really, really, really passionate about this. And not only do we become passionate for the results that it produced in other people, we became passionate about it for the results that we saw in ourselves. When you do this kind of work, in my experience, what I found is that you will not recognize yourself a year later. Your subjective experience of life becomes a lot better, but also your outer life becomes better because you're taking action, but in addition to that action, You're learning how to actually let it land. You're beginning to, like, even for myself, there's so many things that people would just show me things and I wouldn't resonate with it at all. People would show me how to fix my life all the time. I'd hear it and it would go in one ear and out the other. Does anybody here ever have an experience of maybe watching a YouTube video that we put up years ago and it made so much sense and then you forgot about it and then years later you re-looked at the video and you're like, how did I not see this? Anybody here ever had that experience? I'll tell you a couple of my first experiences like that. One, my business partner Nick, he said, you got to read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I was 22. I read it. I thought it was the most boring shit I read in my fucking life. Who would ever like Stephen Covey? Didn't like it. A decade later, maybe 8 or 9 years later, I read that book. I'm like, this is the Bible. How on earth could I have not read this? This is a beautiful, wonderful book written by a very spiritual man who is showing how a lot of these spiritual principles come into the world. It's about win-win. It's about finding that pause in yourself before reacting. It's about synergy. It's about seeking first to understand, then to be understood. These principles that we could make, any one of these principles we could do a week-long seminar on, and it's so beautiful. Books like Crucial Conversations or Nonviolent Communication will explore these topics in depth. Things like win-win, all that are beautiful. I'd read that book a decade prior, made no sense to me. All of a sudden, I'm able to resonate with it. Another example I have, there was a program called On Being a Man by David D'Angelo. He used to be one of the big dating teachers way back in the day. His real name is Eben Pagan. Now he teaches marketing. So one day I'm reading this PDF. Whenever he used to release a DVD set, there'd always be a PDF file. And in that PDF file, it would have sort of a summary of his program. So one day I'm looking at my laptop and some staff member of mine has put a PDF of this program called On Being a Man on my laptop. And one day I'm just bored and I start reading through the PDF and have these incredible principles in it. Things about what it means to be a boy man, a boy psychology in a man's body. It taught me things like here's an example. It taught me things like an adult man takes responsibility for whatever goes wrong, but gives the credit to everybody else when things go right. An adult man always gives credit to his team and takes the credit off of himself. He says, when said, how did you accomplish that? He says, I have a great team. I'm very lucky. But if something goes wrong, he says, this is my fault. I own this. Over the years, I've learned that it's good to kind of couple that with showing people direct metrics of what you're contributing. I can make a whole other video on that. But the point is, in my mid-20s, reading something like that, I'm like, wait a minute. So let me get this straight. You did something good and you say that everybody else gets the credit, but they fuck up and you say it's you? That's insane. How could that make any sense? All of a sudden I start realizing that's called being an adult man. When you're known as the person who will do that, everybody ultimately knows the real truth. And it's just really highlighting how incredible you really are when you speak in those terms. Any other adult person recognizes you're a high-level person. So I read that PDF. I called up Eben, David D'Angelo. I called up Eben. I said, this is the most amazing thing I've ever read. I used to talk to him regularly back then because I was in his program as a speaker. He says, Owen, I'll send you the DVDs. I said, Eben, I'm moving tomorrow. I'm moving out of my house. I need to be in a different city. I'm not going to get the DVDs on time. Don't worry about it. The PDF was great. He says, Owen, I'm going to express deliver them overnight. I didn't know why he wants to send me this thing so bad. He's just an amazing guy. I said, okay, he sends me the DVDs. I'm taking a bus from Kingston to Montreal, or to Quebec City, actually. I'm on a bus. I'm watching the DVD set. In the third disc of the DVD set, he says, oh, and by the way, that really translates to a lot of great in-the-field stuff. And this incredible guy for teaching in the field is this guy named Tyler from Real Social Dynamics. He's sitting right there in the front row. So if you want to learn in the field, the best guy to go learn from is Tyler from Real Social Dynamics, just sitting right there. Now I'm sitting here and my jaw just drops. I'm like, I was in the room? Like I'm going through like a spiritual odyssey with this fucking PDF and this DVD set. I'm like, God, I'm so lucky to be exposed to this. Thank God someone put this PDF on my laptop. I never would have had a chance to see this otherwise. And I realized I was in the room. And I remembered, wait, I was at this seminar. And the whole time I was bitching that there wasn't enough technique. I'm like, where's the technique? Why doesn't this guy shut up about being a man? How is saying, take responsibility, gonna get me the girls? This is stupid. This guy's stupid. Because I just couldn't resonate with it. That's why a lot of times when people even criticize our stuff, we're very patient about it. We don't mind because we're like, you'll be back. And if you're not back, that's more your problem than ours. So at that time, I couldn't resonate with that solution. As you move up, you begin to resonate with better and better solutions. What you're going to see is that if you talk with any of this stuff to most of your friends, they will give you blowback like you wouldn't believe. You could say the most now here's the key to it. You could say the most outlandish fucking nonsense to these same friends and they'll entertain it. But this one area where you're like, you might have a parasite on you. They're like, no parasite, right? You're like, I wonder if there's UFOs in another dimension. Yeah. I wonder if there's like, a heaven or hell. Yeah. I wonder if you're being somewhat run by reaction to cortisol and adrenaline. No, that doesn't exist. This is bullshit, it's hogwash. No. Well, you haven't laughed in like the last day and a half. Yes, I have. I'm a very happy guy. And you will see this across the fucking board. And when you start, and you'll recognize it. You'll also see it in your own journey because when you do this work, you're going to find things that you didn't previously resonate with, and like you're going to hear the story that I said, and you're going to have the same experiences. Even the Blueprint Decoded, that program that I did in mid 2000s, I think 2007 or whatever it was, I can't remember. What a lot of people will say is that they experience that program at one level. It's a seminar I did. They experienced it at one level. They come back to it a year later, and it's like they never saw it. And they experience it at another level. I had that experience with a book like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I've reread The Power of Now, not like all the way through, but just in the process of picking it up and reading chunks of it, maybe over 100 times in my life. Same thing with his other book, A New Earth, and a lot of other works in that same general area. And every time I picked those books, it took me about a decade until I could pick up The Power of Now and be like, yeah, I'm pretty much there to whatever extent I'm where I should be. And this isn't like mind-blowing. This is just like the way life is. But for the first 9 or 10 years, every time I open up, I'm like, oh my God, Eckhart Tolle is God. How in the fuck did he know this? How the fuck did I not read this? It hits you on deeper and deeper levels. So this is the journey you're gonna have. Now the challenge is, most of the people you talk to, it's not like in this room here. Most people you talk to, in fact, the mentality that they're in is that they're being run by negative energy, and in their ideal, not consciously, but 100% unconscious, that energy wants to spread, and that energy wants to pull you back into it. Where you could be here today and studying this and be completely committed and bought in, and by next week you've forgotten about this, and like 6 months later you're thinking, man, I was really making some commitments back then, and I didn't follow through. So that's why it's so important that as you guys meet each other here, you create masterminds, because you become who you hang out with. If you hang out with people that are just laughing and cracking jokes all the time, you will be laughing and cracking jokes all the time. If you hang out with people who are reading all the time, you will become like that. There's an expression, you become the 5 people you hang out with. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. These are all classic self-help ideas that you've got to be aware of. So that's why when we bring people together like this, we do it to get you together so that it gets you thinking about it, so you can put in some time and you can maintain it. You will become who you hang out with. What you're gonna find is when you fail to do that, you're gonna keep hitting the wall because you're digging and digging and digging. You think you're going down this tunnel, right? But you're going down the wrong fucking tunnel. And oftentimes when you're going down this wrong tunnel, the horrible thing about negative energy is that negative energy has its own momentum. And what it does is it's always striving to create more chains of negative energy. So when you're in negative energy, in most cases, you're gonna get a girlfriend who's in negative energy, you're gonna be fighting with her, you're gonna be attracted to business partners and work with people that are in negative energy. Frankly, here's what I've observed. If you're a positive person and somebody else is negative, they will eject you out of their fucking life because they're not getting their hits of negativity from you. And what they'll often do, at first they'll just try to annoy you. Then they'll pester you. Then they'll yell at you. Then they'll fucking explode on you. Eventually, if you say positive that, they'll burn your fucking house down. Now you mad? They'll literally they will do whatever it takes. And it's essentially a pendulum. Pendulum goes here, they charge it up, shoot it back. Now you want to have what? Personal boundaries, right? You're not going to let anyone mess with your reputation. You're not going to let anyone treat you like that. So you charge it up and send it back. But you don't realize that's exactly what they want. And I grew up around that. The area that I grew up in, we'd all get in fights. One guy would fight another guy. That guy would round up his posse, fight the guy back. And it was ongoing. You saw that recently with Conor McGregor. That guy, Khabib, I think he was fighting with Conor's boy Artem. That pisses off Connor, the negative energy in him. Doesn't matter that he's making hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever it is, shitloads of money. Conor McGregor at the top of his fucking game. So much, how much does Conor McGregor have to lose, you think, at this point? So much to lose. This guy, he has all that, this dude comes from like a background where my understanding is that like Irish gangsters are wanting to like fuck him up. He fights his way through that. He fights his way through every obstacle. He had a loss at one point, comes back and beats that guy, pushes himself to the absolute limit in his outer world. And he finds happiness through things like designer clothes, having a Ferrari, and fixing things in the outer world. But guess what? Wherever you go, there you are. So Connor is used to this gangster kind of mentality, whatever you'd call it. I don't want to piss him off because that guy will fuck me up. So, you know, I'm chill. But I'm speaking because this guy's amazing and we can all recognize that. So Connor, he comes in and he's back there in Ireland. He hears about Artem or whatever, got in a confrontation with Khabib. Connor flies back to New York, throws a dolly at the window of the bus. And you know what? That's really good dramatic flair for the buildup of a fight. But here's the problem. Connor's making millions and millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever it is. Some guy who he throws that dolly at, for all we know, is making like a really low amount of money as a fighter, and he's just trying his best. That'd be like me and Julien, who are being successful in our industry, go to some like 21-year-old new coach who's barely making his bills, and we smash his eyes up with glass shards because we're trying to make a drama for our YouTube following. And that's kind of what happened. And it's not appropriate that somebody that successful went and messed with the life of that little dude on the back. Now, of course, I love Connor, so I'm like, fuck it, fuck that guy, Connor all the way, right? Because that's human nature, that's how we are. But if we're being more objective about it, it's a pretty serious situation that happened there. And then Connor's not on probation. What if he were to lose his ability to go do his next fight in the States? What if he were to get sued? What if he loses his endorsements? What if people who don't, all these people are lining up to endorse this guy. He's gone and fought Floyd fucking Mayweather in a boxing match. It's not even his sport. I get it, Floyd's older, but like it takes some balls, bro. I mean, this guy's got balls. He's done far more than maybe all of us combined to make his life amazing. But there he goes, and it's like he's hitting in the success ceiling, and right as things are just getting too good, mess it up. Now, look, he's a smart guy. I think he'll come back from this. I think we all rooting for him to come back. At the same time, you got to realize wherever you go, there you are. What's the mentality and environment that he's in? Got to fuck people up, and it's that charged pendulum that's going back and forth. What you got to do is audit your own life and see where you're charging the pendulum. Where are you creating these webs for yourself? Where is it to the point that anytime that you see something that could truly help your life, you zone out? It goes in one ear and out the other. I'm going to give a couple examples of mine, one that Julien helped me with, one that Max helped me with, that are really important. A couple years ago, I sent this video to the company-wide talking about all the new advances in video technology. And Julien hits me back. He says, Owen, you have worked so hard on your video content. It's absolutely incredible. He's like, you've worked this hard on quality. Why aren't you working on reach? Your quality is a 9.8 out of 10. If you spend all this money and do this work, you'll get it to a 9. I mean, I guess self-bragging here, but you know, from the level that we are at in our abilities, maybe you get from a 9.8 to a 9.9. What do you do for reach? You're doing very little to get exposure to your videos. Julien sent that to me. Several years later, I'm like, you know, maybe we should work on getting more exposure to our videos. No one's ever thought of that. I look up this video, and I see that Julien is saying the same damn thing to me 3-4 years ago, but I'm not ready to hear it. You know why? Because life has to be hard. I have to save the 200 grand to spend on video gear, which you're seeing around you now, and I've got to make it super hard to shoot. I've got to go above me. Now look, it makes great quality. I love what I'm doing. So does he. So does everybody. But why not put a little bit of that time into reach? In which case, you could get even more money and then buy even more gear and buy people to help you. I'm making it hard. Max, I thought he did something really incredible. Max's subscribers have just been blowing up lately. If you look at RC Max, his subscribers are shooting up. And I used to see these mainstream dating teachers who taught at a very surface level. You know, get some cologne, get some nice boots, things like that. And I would look at them and I would laugh at those teachers because they might have 1 million or 5 million or 10 million subscribers. I'm not sure what, like a lot. And I'd say, well, those guys are only super popular and high subs because they're mainstream. And you know, it's like if you have McDonald's, that sells really well. But if you have a beautiful organic food restaurant, you're probably only gonna have 1 or 2 in a city if it was your restaurant. I mean, that's debatable, but you get the idea. So I'm looking at these people just crushing it with subs, and I'm making an identity out of not having tons of views or tons of subs. Now, keep in mind, I think when I record this, over 200K subs on RC Tyler. I think I got like 140 or something on RC Free Tour. That's like 350 between the two of them, and I get around 100K views per video. Some of them have done over 1 million. So it's not like I'm doing bad per se, but I have an identity about not having the same amount of subs as these guys that are more mainstream. Max comes in, he says, Owen, why don't you look at the SEO of the video? Why don't you do clickbait thumbnails? Why don't you do, why don't you work on your tagging of your videos, and then you'll compete with these really big guys? I'm like, no. No, we're the hustling, real dating coaches with the low views and subs, because we're real, right? Because I'm not ready to resonate with that. It's like it has to be hard. And that's probably the single reason that I did RSD as a team, and why they do it as a team is because just having people around you makes you be more successful. Just having those influences around you, why did I build RSD? It's a mastermind group. You become who you hang out with. In the same way that I would push Max or Julien to go all out in their videos and their video quality, Julien would push me to focus more on reach. Julien is also very good at saying calm. He's great for teaching this because he's got a lot of emotional control. Max is really good at saying, let's make clickbait. Oh no, if we're the real company, we can't do that. It's like, no, work on your clickbait and your tagging, make more money, and then use that money to reinvest back in more free videos and make even better free videos to serve more people. What's more real? And what's just this low vibration identity where you're just limiting yourself? But I couldn't even hear that from Max until more recently because I wasn't ready to hear it. And I've done a lot of work on myself, but there's all these different areas that you're just not ready to hear until you hit a certain point. And this is why you have to have people around you continually bringing you back to that mindset, because otherwise the average person is in a very limited paradigm. The problem is that it's not that what they're saying is wrong. There's nothing wrong with gossiping, talking shit, being negative, and just being mad all the time. There's nothing wrong with it except one thing. Say this right after me: opportunity cost. That's the critical part of it. Think of the average moment that you're walking down the street and you're complaining. You literally could just be saying, and it'd be no less valid, but we just never do it, wow, it's so amazing to live in a first world country. If you live in a third world country, there's probably something amazing about it. It's amazing things about any country. Wow, it's amazing we're living in a first world country. Wow, it's amazing that I'm alive. Wow, it's amazing that I'm walking around. Wow, look at this fresh air. Look at the tree. Look at the cloud formation. You want to know why a lot of people take, for example, psychedelic drugs? Because when they take it, they're like, look at the cloud. And I'm not trying to make an opinion on that, but I'm just saying, you can look at the cloud now. But most people, they need a psychedelic drug to even look at the fucking cloud. Most people need to drink alcohol to just dance and cut loose. You can dance and cut loose. But our sober mental conditioning is so dense and negative and victim and whatnot that essentially you're burning your opportunity costs. Imagine if all that you ever did in your life was take all that negative energy where you're spinning your wheels essentially. You're just spinning your wheels in the mud, and instead you focus on what you're grateful for, just laughing and joking around, having fun, things that would move you forward in a way that you love, and just learning and contributing. Imagine if you just tilted your mind to mostly that stuff, with obviously maybe little bouts of depression here or there where that's your subconscious mind saying, wait, there's a problem here. Look at it, see the lesson it's trying to give you, release it as Julien would teach you, and then keep moving forward back in the sweet spot. So a lot of what we're trying to teach here is to get you in that sweet spot. But let me ask you a question. What percentage of the time do you think you're in the sweet spot? I'd say most people it's around 10%, and here's why I say that, and I'm gonna ask you. I think most people, what they do is they move along like this. When something negative happens, they go like this. Whoom, like that, they come back. But when something positive happens, you know most people? And you're laughing because you recognize it. Whenever we get pissed, we go way down in it, all the way down like that. When something fucking sick happens, it's just like, like that. Have you ever had like an incredible partner, but you still got in a bad mood that day, or maybe you got mad at your partner, and then you think to yourself, when I was single, I would have killed to have a partner like this. This person's amazing. I would whack off, desperate to have somebody who would just have sex with me every day like this, whatever I want. I'd be single, using a condom, wishing I could take the condom off. And now I can do, if she's on contraceptive, I can do that whatever I want now. I always imagine walking down the street with someone cool to share that experience with. I was walking around by myself. Now there's somebody here. Oh, but I'm still mad. And then how many of you guys have experienced this? You get mad at your partner, And eventually you guys wind up breaking up. And it's only when you break up that you realize what you had, because you were so focused on what they weren't bringing to the table that you couldn't focus on what they were bringing to the table. And you're like, what have I done? What have I done? But then ironically, you go back and you beg back, and they're over it because you beg back, you gave away your power, and they get turned off. Any guy here ever had that experience? Common experience. For those of you that hasn't, it's because you're a virgin, and that's cool too. We can release that too. So, okay. And you'll see this a lot in memes from women on Instagram and social media, where they'll say, you didn't want me while I'm here, and now that I'm gone, you want me. Well, tough luck, bucko. You'll see that on girls' IGs all the time, because we, as men do that all the time. I've had many girls that did that to me too. They're on some beautiful vacation with me. They never would have got to fly there. We're staying in a cool hotel. We're eating cool dinners. And all they can focus on is that I'm 5 minutes late for this, and they're looping on it. And it's like, yo, wake up. Look at where you are. Wake the fuck up. But they can't do it because all they can focus on is, if only they could do this. If only they could do that. I've had it where there's been people I work with where I help them to make 400 grand, 500 grand, and they feel that despite all the work that we did together, that I dropped the ball on something, that they made 5 grand less or 10 grand less. And they said to me directly in my face, it doesn't matter that we just made 400 grand. We could have made 410. And that is unacceptable. And I don't even disagree, but why not just have a conversation where we sit down calmly, even joke around, go have a nice day out at a restaurant, and just get excited about all the cool things that we do better and have gratitude for what we did good. Why does it have to be this other way? I'm gonna ask you a question, repeat after me. Why does it have to be hard? Say that. Why does it have to be hard? Okay? Ask yourself the question, am I making my life easy or hard? So in a lower state, when you're addicted to trauma energy, because you haven't released it, and for whatever other reason, it's a broad topic, what you have is where you're so addicted to things being hard. For example, you walk into a nightclub where there's all these cool people you could meet, and rather than just making it very light and easy and just talking to everybody and not being in this competitive frame where it's like this battle mission of you versus the club, just say everybody's already my friend. I'm in a collaborative frame instead of a competitive frame. And 80-90% of the people there are dancing with you, love you. You wind up making out with a few people. You go home with some incredible person. It's all easy and light. And we've all had nights where going out was very easy and light, the easiest thing in the world. And then we've had nights where it was the hardest thing in the world. You ever go out and you try to talk to people? It's honestly just the hardest thing in the entire world. It's crazy, right? And you're making it hard on yourself. How? Well, one of the biggest ones that I cover is the competitive versus collaborative frame. In the competitive frame, it's like you against everybody. When you're in a low vibration state, you're always a victim who's at the effect. You don't have enough money. You don't have the looks. You have scarcity of resources. If you ever talk to a homeless person, look at how they talk. Guys won't do it as exaggerated as that, as cartoon-like as that, but they do their own version of it. They're in limitation. They care about things like how many people liked them to didn't like them, how much approval they got. And they get exhausted with going out to meet people because every single interaction was this life or death to their ego. When you just view everybody as your friend, you make it light, and you just share energy everywhere, what winds up happening is that it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Say this with me. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Say the whole word. Self-fulfilling prophecy. That person that thinks it's hard in competition, it is tough. When you think it's easy, it is easy. Is it always like that? No. Look, there's outer methods that we learn. Of course, we teach you that. But when we talk about, when we do happen to make videos about the inner stuff, we're trying to draw your attention to that. A lot of time we make videos about inner stuff, and guys are like, well, what about the other stuff? Like, that's the other 900 videos we did. But when we focus on inner, why we did that was what we found was when you focus on the inner, 90% of things that you needed to do, you don't even have to do anymore. And that's called a paradigm. And that's why you need a mastermind group and other people around you to keep you in this paradigm. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're very nervous. You have bad eye contact. Your voice isn't good. Your body language is tight, and you're not laughing, and you're in kind of like a dark space. Now, when you're in that low vibration state, because maybe you've been traumatized, and that trauma's feeding on itself, and you're in this competitive frame, you're gonna need to memorize a lot of scripts and lines to have something so interesting that hooks them up. Just watch this, okay? Let's say that you walked up to someone and you said, say that you're in a low state. You're like, who lies more, men or women? Well, those words are loaded enough with enough hooks that even if you have bad eye contact, bad verbals, they'll probably listen to that. But what if you're in this great mood and you just raise an eyebrow and it shoots them out with positive energy and they're like, ha ha ha, and then you're just like, And they're like, ha! And you're like, and they're like, what? And you're like, no, what? And then you're like close your eyes, huh? And you just start making out. Now to the guy who's in to the guy who's in a lower mood, they can't do that. If they try to copy that, they're like, it doesn't work. I need more. And they're right. They're not wrong. But also the guy in a different paradigm is also right. There's easier ways of doing it. From the paradigm, let's bring this back to Julien and Max. If I'm in a paradigm where I'm not focusing on my reach and I'm not focusing on things like clickbait and clickbait thumbnails, well then, yeah, I've got to, like, maybe if we spent $500,000 on video quality, we'd get more views. Maybe if we spent $1 million on video quality, we get more views. I mean, do you guys want to know what our burn rate is on editing the free videos? It's over $1 million a year in expenses to get that stream of videos that you guys see. Well over $1 million a year.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And they're great videos, but it is oftentimes people in a leadership position, the way that their business runs is a reflection of their paradigm. And I've definitely been a lot in the paradigm of just grind it out, make it as hard as you can. Like, I can't just shoot a video in a cool place. It's got to be the coolest place. I can't just shoot a video at a regular time of day. It's got to be golden hour. I don't go to bed. Watch my Instagram when I'm on tour. I'm like, I haven't been to bed in 3 days. My voice is going out, but it's golden hour. And to be fair, they look great. So it's sort of a mixed issue, isn't it? But guys, there's also a button called saturate in Adobe Premiere where you press saturate, add a little black, add a little yellow orange, and it kind of looks like golden hour. And I remember like team members of mine be like, why don't you just saturate? I'm like, no, we're not going to bed. That's for weaklings. Because it's too easy. I love the work that I've done, and I love looking at that work and being proud of myself that I put that time in. And to be fair, I'll probably always shoot a golden hour whenever I can. Don't get me wrong. But I'm also going to admit to myself that to a degree, it's because I need to make things hard. And within that, what are the areas in your own life that you're making it hard? And it's like, in my mind, it's like, if I could just get the quality even more by spending another 300 grand on quality, views would go up. And it's like, that's true within a paradigm. It's called the video quality equals views paradigm. But there's this other paradigm where you also work on reach, your views go up, your sales go up, and then you can hire people to help you, and then you can put out even more videos, have even more free time to dick around at golden hour on no sleep, and go forward, right? So understand that whenever you hear someone whenever you hear someone like, the world is hard, it's a battle, survival of the fittest, they are correct within a paradigm. You need 1 million techniques to talk to someone, to have a conversation. They are right within a paradigm. Have you guys ever seen videos where I walk up to people, I say nothing at all, and these incredible things happen? It's called the silent opener. You ever seen me do that? Well, the reason that I love that, teaching that, a lot of people are like, why do you gravitate to a technique like that? No, I'm trying to show you a paradigm. I'm trying to show you a paradigm where things are so easy, you don't even talk. To be able to stay in that mode, when I'm around my friends who are putting me into a mindset like that, well, now I'm in a mastermind group where the world is light, the world is easy. Most of you guys, if I got you to hang out with me and my closest friends, we would all just be laughing, enjoying life, and things are very light. You would probably feel so out of place. Some of you wouldn't, but most of you in this room would leave because it's too easy. I used to experience that. I would hang out with people that were super positive, and they would know me from the community, and they would be laughing and joking all night, and a lot of the time I'd just sit around complaining, and it would emotionally exhaust me to be around those people because I was used to getting these hits of adrenaline and hits of cortisol, and when I wouldn't get my hits of adrenaline or my hits of cortisol, it was actually exhausting to be around people that were positive all day. I'd feel out of place, I'd feel exhausted. It felt like I'm around an alien. And I'd think to myself, why is it that they can just joke around? Don't they know how hard the world is? Don't they know that these people fucked them over? Don't they know that we've got to do something about this? They're blind. That's what a lot of people in a lower paradigm say about people in a higher paradigm is they're blind, they're airy-fairy, They don't get the truth. But when you think about it, who's living a lie? You're gonna die someday and not remember any of this. Your life will blow by. If you don't enjoy your life, you're the one who's living in delusion. See, if I believed that I would live forever, then yeah, it'd be worth it to get all super angry and just do whatever it took. I'm sitting here at almost 40. How much of my life can I truly say I enjoyed? Like, how old are you? 28. At 28, how many years of your life do you think that you spent in a lot of enjoyment? And how many years of your life do you think that you spent in a more negative state? Because I'd say in my case, at 38 years, over 80% of my life has really just spent being pissed off. And a lot of my friends find my behavior in recent years to be a bit weird. They're like, why do you just joke around and shit? I'm like, bro, I'm 40, like I'm almost 40. This is my life. Like, you know, like in your 20s, you're like, well, when I'm 40. In your 30s, you're like, well, when I'm 40, I'm 40. I'm just about to turn 40. And I'm a year and a bit away from it. Well, this is my life. Like, if I'm not gonna laugh and enjoy this, there's no other future. Like, when I'm 50 then, like, when does it start? So who's the delusional one? In fact, I'd say because I am aware of a lot of this tough stuff about life, like that I'm gonna die, that's me saying I wanna move up. Also, the fact that I busted my ass in building the business, building skills, working hard, and being like, you know, I'm still kind of pissed, is another thing. I think that by me getting a lot of those material things that I thought would make me happy, by getting that, it made it a lot more apparent. A lot of business owners that you see in their mid-50s are about 55. If you ask them what's their biggest regret, they're like, you know, I really didn't stop to smell the roses. Now I'm 55, I've got all this money, and I was pretty pissed off until about 52. You know, 53 hit and I realized maybe I should enjoy my life a bit. And then the problem can be as well, they snap back in the other direction. They just completely reject all work. You don't want to do that either. They reject doing anything that's a bit hard. You don't want to do that either. You want to be able to go into situations that are a bit tough or negative and keep a good mood in those environments, or allow yourself to get a little bit down to the dumps to sort of examine and see what you need to look at, but then quickly release it and come out of it, not have it be stagnant. So again, we've got to get ourselves around groups of people that are thinking in these lines, that are hammering you with this. Because let me ask you a question. Right now, I'm going to ask you guys, put your hand up if you think that over 80% of your life, you've just been in a very joyous, ideal state for over 80% of your life. Put your hands up. Okay. How about 70%? 60%? 50%? 40%? Hands way up. 30%? 20%? 10%? 5%? Okay. Probably being hard on yourself. We'll work on releasing that. Now, put your hand up if for over half of your life you spent being in a state that was pointlessly negative. Like, you thought it was helping you, but it really wasn't helping anything. If you spent over half your life in a pointlessly negative state, put your hands up. Okay. For the rest of you that didn't put your hands up, I'm gonna be honest, I think most of you are not realistic, but you could be being realistic, because some people don't struggle with this, but most people do. And even for those of you that don't struggle, you can still go higher. So knowing that, we have to realize that our friends are bringing us into this. Our peers are bringing us into this. TV, the media, the food that we eat, the lifestyles that we have, the job that we have. And modern society has a lot of benefits, but we have to make a decision to say, no, 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 I am going to take action on this and get the knowledge and tools that I need and surround myself with people in this mindset. That was the main payoff I got from having a mastermind group, was that people continually put me back into that mindset, okay? This is something that Julien has been emphasizing. Julien came to me, he said, you know what? We've got to do the academy. And the reason that he said let's do the academy was because he's watching people that go through this burst of awesomeness and then boom, back down. So whether you're in the academy or not, that's up to you. I recommend it, but that's up to you. But what I would say is, no matter what, or even if you're in the academy, get a hold of the people in this environment. Make mastermind groups. Get people around you that are serious about moving up in this area. This, in my opinion, is the single most important thing you can do, along with just building skills in general.
I mean, around who can you actually be real or talk about deep issues going on inside? Most people nowadays don't even have anyone they can confide in. Like, all your friends are surface level friends. It's either friends from work, in your social circle a bit, even your family. Can you actually open up about what's going on inside? The answer for most people is no. And even if you can a little bit, you're still gonna hold back, because then you're afraid, like, oh, how is this gonna affect things going forward? So no one has someone to talk to. It's crazy. And I would see this nonstop at the different live events where at the end there was such a bonding experience. And people kept saying like, this was amazing, like literally the most amazing day of my life. I could finally be real. People would hear me. They'd be present for me. They would listen to me. Like I can actually be heard and acknowledged for who I truly am. It was amazing. I need more of this. And it started growing in the Facebook group. And I'm like, fuck, let's just go all out and create this fucking movement. Like this whole movement where every month it's like this tribe, this, you know, trauma study group, this transformation mastery study group that you can literally come to that place, see people who are like-minded, see people who are out of the matrix, if you will, and just unplug. You know, even if here you are, you can't do anything about your external at this moment, you're stuck with those people who might pull you back, family who might pull you back, like some toxic situations, you can always come back to this, reconnect with this. And the cool thing too about this mastermind is like people hold you accountable. There's that reality that's there, and it helps with the commitment of not just doing the work once, just doing like a burst and then just letting these concepts, these ideas, videos, or even courses, you know, gather dust on the virtual shelf of your website, of your desktop. You actually take action, and you're seeing everyone else take action. And that's really, I'll build on what it actually is. It's like, that's what Transformation Mastery Academy is. Every month, there's new content, so you can come back to that content. You're like, oh fuck, there's this. Every month we tackle a specific topic. For example, one I really am gonna tackle hard, and I've not talked about it that much, and I don't see many people who do, are relationships and breakups. Like, it's cool to understand relationships and breakups on a surface level in a certain paradigm, but no one really talks about how trauma fuels that shit. If you really think about it, like some of you might have heard the whole narcissistic codependent dynamic. Really understanding that will blow your fucking mind. You're like, oh my God. How you just keep being drawn to that same fucking energy, that same thing. And when you start working on yourself, it actually fucks with you because you'll notice you stop being attracted to the same type of people. In any relationship, you'll see it. There's someone who's more codependent, someone who's more narcissistic, all the time. It's kind of, you complete each other that way, and you get each other's hits. And as you start working on yourself, you get less of that same pull. Like there's not that same destructive magnetic draw. And it's just crazy how that changes your life. So I want to tackle some of the more underground things, how it affects your life on a practical level. And it's really just this study group. You know, I'm sure you've heard that expression about any successful person. People always say this, like, oh, they studied self-help. They studied spirituality. And it's cool to hear, like, oh, okay, I guess they studied it. What does it actually mean to study it? Is it just watching a couple of videos? Like, what is doing the work? What does that look like? And that's what the group is about. It's like, we're gonna study this shit together. There's content, there's missions where you have to actually go out and apply it. So you're not just sitting behind your computer the entire time. There's accountability where you're gonna see people post the reports of their missions, of their assignments. You're like, shit, if all those people just like me can do it, I can do it too. Not only that, but people are gonna check up on each other. There's coaches that are gonna check up on you. Like, hey, did you do it? No, you're not snapping back to the mainstream. You're not going back to the matrix. Come back, let's fucking do it. So there's someone on your ass. You can't go back. Even if all your friends, family, mainstream is pulling you back, someone from the academy will be pulling you back in. And that sounds really creepy too. It's like, you will not escape ever. Pulling you back in towards authenticity. There's meditations. There's a book review of the month where there's a book club. Like, it's crazy how little people read too. It's like, you gotta be part of a book club. Like, don't just read on your own and try to speed read. To really digest this shit, you gotta put the concepts to use and discuss them. Discuss them, like debate, challenge the ideas. Oh, what did you think about that? What did you get out of the book? Exchange ideas. We do this all the fucking time. And that's the way the book club's gonna be. It's like there's gonna be a webinar, present the ideas, Q&A, we all discuss it together. And just this solid group of people committed to doing this. Where it's like, if you know yourself and you know you might just revert back, you know you might just be inspired, and you can just look at your track record. If you look at your environment where you live right now, and you know there's gonna be that same pull, and although there's a part of you like, this is it, we gotta do it, man, it's this, you know you're gonna be pulled back, you gotta proactively prevent that shit. And it's something like this, like different mastermind groups, whether it's networking here, joining the academy, You gotta do it or you will be pulled back.
If you were to see us behind closed doors, we're joking around, we're having fun, but we're also analyzing things. We're giving each other a lot of feedback, a lot of difficult to swallow feedback. And we're analyzing other people. We're looking at what's running other people, what their intentions are, what their limits are. We're doing that to each other. And we keep a lot of different people in the group. People that are focused on one thing or a different thing, whatever it is. We're always keeping people that have different angles on this. And it's funny because even for Julien, being around some of the guys that didn't get into this initially, by being around Julien over time, they're like, oh my God, I can completely see how I'm ruining my fucking life doing this. Because guys that he'll have to kind of like press on it to do it, I mean, I wish I had Luke here right now. You could ask Luke about all this. When he first heard about this, he's like, look, if you want to be happy, go to Cabo with 10 girls to get them all to suck your dick. And I think it'll take care of itself. And he went through a lot of experiences where he's like, you know what? Yeah, this is, my thinking here is true in many ways, but it's also limited. And he started getting into this kind of stuff. And we see this with pretty much any friend of ours who doesn't have low vibration energy completely impacted, almost like an impacted wisdom tooth. Some people, it's so impacted that nothing that you can say on the earth will fix it. Nothing. But anybody who's actually moving through life, the interesting thing about life is it will give you not what you want, but what you need. And frequently, if you're in this room, you've probably had experiences where you've tried a lot of different avenues, right? Like you've dug down certain caves and you said, this is the wrong fucking tunnel. I'm burrowing down the wrong tunnel. And if you're gonna do all that work and hustle your fucking ass off, you wanna be going in the right direction. Otherwise, you're moving away. You're literally putting in time and energy to move away from your ultimate goal. And an example of this could be you're getting deeper and deeper into a toxic relationship and you're putting all this time and energy into getting a toxic relationship to work. What you don't realize is when you win, you lose. Maybe you're trying to get some kind of occupation that you're in that's giving you all these hits of negative energy. And you're thinking if you could just get it to a certain point, but when you win, you lose. And there's so much of this. I mean, it could be like, you know, you're trying to grow food in your backyard and you're growing something that's just gonna straight poison you and you're putting all this time in. When you win, you lose. And life is gonna make you surrender to reality eventually. Life has a funny thing about doing that. As you get older, you either get bitter or you get better. And so, it took me until my mid-30s where I could look at any of this. It took Julien going through a global media fiasco before he could look through any of this. Julien, like I had a hard time letting it land, and then I would try to push on Julien. He's like, you know when I'll be happy? When I get my next girl off Tinder. And he would just go through that. But everybody will hit their breaking point eventually where they realize what this is. And a way to look at it is that most people, if you were to think of yourself as an entity, most people are an entity that wants to take. But because they're always trying to take, everything's always just a little bit out of their grasp. Do you ever feel like you're always trying to get, but things are just a little bit eluding your grasp? Well, ironically, when you start to heal yourself and you have good energy to give, it becomes a flow where people naturally want to give to you. So if Julien's walking down the street, it wouldn't be uncommon where people just walk up, they start telling him how awesome he is, they empty their wallets and just hand it to him because they're so grateful. It sounds crazy. And women who have maybe watched his stuff are throwing themselves at him, and he's just sitting there and he's like, well, look at this. I start to give, all of a sudden, women are throwing themselves at me. People are physically throwing money at me, and everyone's telling me I'm great. Funny how that works, right? You're giving, and then all of a sudden, all those things that you wanted just get handed back to you with not as much effort. Now, of course, you have to make an effort, don't get me wrong, but in many ways, in many instances, it'll be without effort, right? Meanwhile, somebody who desperately wants a partner, desperately wants money, desperately wants approval, you ever had it where you go into, say, a bar or club and you wish that everybody would like you, and you're trying so hard to make them like you that the more that you try to make them like you, the more they run away? You ever had it where you want money so bad that you make these critical judgment errors because you're frenetic and you're not thinking clearly about it, and then it just gets away from you? You ever had it where you want to be happy and you're just doing something and it winds up making you unhappy? A lot of the time, it's not about control muscles, it's about release muscles. And ultimately, it's a balance, right? Some people, they're releasing too much. Maybe call it, say, the homeless guy. He's just kind of sitting there on a street corner. Could be mental illness, but you get the idea. Then you have other guys who go through what I just went through here. You want to move it more towards the middle. How much would you say, if you were to go out and meet people tonight, what's holding you back is you don't know enough about how to meet people? Or versus, How much of it do you think is just that you're too uptight, you want it too much, and because you want it too much, it makes you nervous, and because you're nervous, you can't think of what to say, and because you can't think of what to say, you stammer on yourself, and because you stammer on yourself, you break eye contact, can't speak that well, not in a flow, and then you wind up pushing away the very people that you're trying desperately to bring into your life. Meanwhile, when you don't care because you just let it go, yeah, you still got to go talk to people, initiate, but you just be yourself, do your thing, and they're throwing themselves at you, and you're almost forgetting to say, hey, let's go to this next place. You're like, yeah, you can come too, let's go. And they're like, yes, let's go. That's a microcosm for the stuff that Julien is working on here. But let me ask you a question. How many of the people who you're around are even thinking in those parameters? So few people. And yet, when you're in this reality that you're in now, it feels so real, and it's so hard to conceptualize of another reality that it almost sounds like fucking voodoo. When in fact, when you're in that better reality, the lower reality looks insane. When you say, again, extreme example, and I have a lot of empathy for them, but when you say, look at like a homeless person fighting over some meth, a cardboard box, a street corner, and someone dissed them, does that look weird to you? How weird does it look when you see two homeless people fighting over a cardboard box? Would that qualify as making your life hard by any chance? What do you think? Yeah. Okay. Could you conceptualize perhaps that you yourself look that way to people who are doing better than you? Did that ever occur to you? Did you ever pause and say, wait a minute, you know those crazy looking homeless people? I look like that, and my friends look like that to people that are operating at a higher level. Do you think that's the case or no? What do you think? Yes. It's 1,000% the case. You have no idea what your limitations are. You typically have no idea what's running you. And unless you make a proactive effort to get out of that, you're fucked. I remember when I was 22 years old, I got into college and they said, you've got to write a 4-page essay on why Telemachus from the book The Odyssey went to search for his dad. This is a book called The Odyssey of Homer. You ever see the movie Troy? Brad Pitt? It's kind of like the books where that originated. That book was called The Iliad. And the sequel, potentially, because they don't know who wrote it, is called The Odyssey of Homer. And the first 4 chapters, or books they say, is Telemachus going to look for his dad. I remember my teacher says to me, Owen, write 4 pages on why Telemachus is looking for his dad. I'm like, because he wants to find his fucking dad? Why do you need 4 pages on this? That would seem impossible. I thought it's impossible that that could happen. But I realized that a PhD student could probably write those 4 pages in their fucking sleep. Now, having gone through college, I could write probably 100 pages on why Telemachus is looking for his dad. I could do it in a couple days. But at the time, it seemed hard. It seemed impossible. Well, what I did was I went out and I got tutors. I got what's called a TA, teaching assistants. I got master's students. I go to PhD colloquiums where they're talking about this stuff, and I taught myself. And eventually, suddenly, I could write the 4 pages in 2 seconds. Instead of what would take me a week, I could write it in 20 minutes. You give me 20 minutes to write about that, I could type it out. I could probably make something up. I barely remember it decades later because I know how to do it. But when you don't have those people that are there to help you to move through it, what's happening is you're in the dark. Michael Jordan, they say he had like 10 coaches. Most people have 0 coaches. Must mean they're better than Jordan, right? Typically, the best people go and get help, and they get around people. So our journey has not only been doing masterminds with each other, but also bringing in people. It's not uncommon that Julie and I would pay $30,000 to get in somebody who will spend 2 days with us to help us in the team. We don't think twice about it. Now, that being said, if you're not as far along your journey, I'm not telling you that the missing key is to go about 30 grand on a corporate consultant. You'd have to be an idiot. But as you move through your life, when you're new, you want to gangster it out and create small mastermind groups for free with you and your friends. Later, as you move through life, you want to get mastermind groups that's within your price range. Now, if you really want me to blow your mind, in business, say I live in LA, in business, there's groups in LA called EO, Entrepreneur Organization. And those are mastermind groups that you join, you pay to be a part of it, and the money, what does the money do? It acts as what? What does the money do? What does it act as? It acts as a screen to get rid of people who aren't serious. If you go look on, say, the free forum on RC Nation, it's a shithole because people who aren't serious will post there. If you go look at his groups, it's fucking amazing. If you go into, say, the airport, a lot of the main seating area is a zoo. You pay, say, $500 to go in the Virgin Lounge. It doesn't look that much nicer in the Virgin Lounge, but the people won't act the fool. They don't act crazy. There's groups, say, for example, Joe Polish, he's a marketing teacher. He has what's called the 25K group. And you're paying $25K to get a mastermind. But what are you really paying the 25? It's just a mastermind, a group of people. Why do people want to join the 25K group? And now if you're newer on your journey, don't do that. That would be a very dumb move. Very dumb. It's not appropriate for the level you're at. But for somebody at a very high level, why would they not join that group if it was $100, not join that group if it was $1,000, and only would join that group if it's $25,000? Tony Robbins has a platinum group for $65,000, $70,000. And people at a high level, financially, only want to go to that seminar. What's the reasoning behind it? What do you think? It's to be a barrier to people who aren't at that level. The idea of, say, a Rolex watch, what is it? It's basically saying you're part of a club of people that can afford to buy that. Rolex does some genius marketing to position themselves as those people. I'm not saying that you should go buy a Rolex watch, but what I am saying, do whatever you want in life, but what I am saying is that those screens exist. Like when you go to Brazil, a lot of those, like say you go to Lapas in Brazil, who here's ever been to Brazil? Okay, who has ever been to Lapas? Okay, a little crazy. Now that's when I was there. Could have changed since I've been there. Lapas is a bit of a shit show. Well, the better clubs cost 100 real to get in. 100 real, what is that in US dollars? Anyone know? Okay, well, whatever it is in US dollars, when I was there, it was a lot, by the way. Why do you not want to go to the club that you don't pay 100 real? Because at the club where you pay the 100 real, you don't get stabbed. You don't want it cheaper. So in the same way, that Joe Polish guy has a 100K group. And I know friends of mine that are entrepreneurs that don't want to join the group if it's not a 100K group because they need it as a filter. So when you do a mastermind, when you're new, what you want to do, say you're newer in your own financial journey, your own professional journey, then what you do is you get in masterminds for free. You find other people who are committed to moving up, and you do it for free together. Like Julien and I, back when we all started, we didn't have a lot of cash. So we became each other's mastermind group, and we push each other. Later, as we started to go up because of the work that we did in our mastermind group, now all of a sudden we can bring in that guy who cost 30 grand to be a mastermind group with us and to mentor us. Then we make more money and we bring in more help. Now, it's not just about help. You have to execute on that help. But ironically, when you paid the money for the fucking help, you wind up doing it. And this is what most people do who are successful. You want to talk Illuminati? That's basically what the fucking Illuminati is. But the average person in society doesn't know what a mastermind group is, so they think it's an Illuminati sacrificing a fucking goat. Now, to be fair, I've never been to that mastermind, so maybe they are. Maybe that's the step we're missing. We tried to sacrifice a few goats, but nothing happened. It was just messy. We just had to clean it up, you know? Maybe the next goat's the charm. I don't know. You know? Do a little pentagram around it and a goat and like, you know? We're going to be joining the 100K group next week once we get that goat. But to the average person who doesn't know what a mastermind group is, they think it's an Illuminati with a goat because they don't know what a mastermind group is. So understand that you've got to be creating these groups amongst yourself and do it for free at first, and then later, money's simply a screen. As you're moving up, you don't care about the money anymore because you're in abundance, and now the money's just a screen to keep out the people you don't want. It's not viewed as you're spending money. It's not viewed, the money isn't the thing. The money is the wall. The money is the thing that says, okay, this makes sure that when I spend 5 hours talking to these people, it's not the wrong influences. When you guys come here to Say Summit, this group here, what percentage of you guys flew in here? Put your hands up. That's an amazing mastermind group you have right here. You know why? Because you flew in. The comments on a YouTube video is going to be like 50% just stupid because those people aren't committed. So because they're not committed, they have nothing better to do than be like, let's nitpick the fucking thing. I think I saw a silhouette of Julien's dick in the video and in his green pants. And it's so much larger and magnificent than I ever imagined, right? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that probably sounds a bit more entertaining than actually being serious. But the point is, like, when you do that, it's not the problem of speculating on it. It's that when you're operating at that level all the time, now it's funny to do as a joke, you know, if you're into it, but it's also what's called what? Opportunity cost. Say that with me. Opportunity cost. So it's the time that you're burning down, focusing, say this word, focusing on the wrong shit. Say that. Focusing on the wrong shit. Most people, they have what's called a misweighting bias. Say a misweighting bias. Misweighting bias. They're sitting there derping around, focusing on the wrong shit, and they're specifically focusing on things that will lock them deadlocked right into place. A mastermind group is people that are saying, we're going to create walls outside of anybody. We got to get rid of the people that are focusing on the wrong shit, not because we don't like them, not because we don't respect them, not because they're not awesome people or hilarious. You know, later today, I want to have a look at that silhouette of Julien's dick. But for now, I want to carve out a little bit of time not to look at the silhouette, and I want to actually get paid money and be happier and reach my goals. And then once you reach your goals, you can go look at silhouettes all day. You can look at camel toes, you can talk shit, you can be mad at the world, you can be a victim, you can look at the goats, you can do whatever you want. You can speculate all day on the conspiracies and all the way you're being taken advantage of while you're rich. Okay? Get rich, then come back and be a troll, okay? You could be like Brian Colangelo from the 76ers, you know? He's trolling people on Twitter while he's like a multimillionaire running the 76ers. He got fired, but at least he did it while he's rich. I really got nothing to say about it. I mean, he got fired, probably not a smart move, but you know my point, right? Like, at least he's rich while he's doing it. But if you're not where you want to be in life, you've got to cordon off time and get around people that are going to push you to that standard, because you don't become who you want. Or sorry, what is it? You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. You need to deliberately get around people who are moving the direction that you want to move up. In life, you want to get around people who are about a third, Ty Lopez talks a lot about this, my friend. A third above you, a third around the level that you're at, and a third below you. Do you want to know the biggest fucking scam of RSD that no one ever talks about, where we're just scamming the shit out of you guys? The main reason that we're so fucking awesome at a lot of the shit we're awesome at is because we teach. Because when you teach others, it forces you to step up. It brings the best out of you. At the same time, you don't want to just be around people you're teaching, because now you don't have anything to teach because you don't have role models. So you want to get a third around role models. You also want maybe say, let's just call it a third, it could be whatever, but something in that range, and a third of people who are at your level because now they're your peers. So you want to be like a third observing, a third doing, a third teaching, okay? A third what? What's the first one? Observing. A third, what's the second one? Doing. The last one? Teaching. Right? So observing is the people above you, doing is the people at your level, and teaching is the people under you. When you teach, you learn this stuff. I taught the areas that I taught because I knew that I had so much trouble with these. The only way I was going to get under control was to teach it. So when you join a mastermind group, that allows you to get around the right people. Also, some people are above you, and also there's people who you're going to be able to teach and help, which reinforces it to you. You got to be doing all of it. And I guess what I'd say is, when I was younger and I couldn't write that 4-page Telemachus story, it's because I didn't know how dumb I was. You never know how dumb you are. You never know what you don't know. When you look at all those other dumb people, you know all the other dumb people who you see? Did it ever occur to you you could be one of the dumb people? It never does, right? Everybody thinks everybody else is dumb. How many people in the world do you think are like, I'm the dumb one? Very rare. Well, something's wrong here, right? There's something clearly going on here if no one's the dumb one, but everyone thinks most people are dumb. Wait a minute. What if you're dumb? I'm not calling you dumb, but I'm kind of calling you dumb. And what I mean by dumb is just as a joke, but what I'm saying is that you don't know what you don't know. When I was going through, you know, say 20 to 30 as an example, and I'm in the paradigm that I'm stuck in, I don't know there's another paradigm. I've never experienced anything else than that. I don't know any better. So how did I get around it? I got around incredible mentors, I got around incredible peers, and I taught. And by making a process of doing that, I was able to improve the quality of my life a huge amount. That doesn't mean that I'm there yet. There are so many things in our business that we need to work on and improve that are really bad. There's a lot of areas in even my dating life that I've got to get way better at. There's clearly areas of my health I got to improve. I'm not a perfect guy. I'm on my journey like any of you. I'm on my journey. No different. I've got so many areas that I've got to do better. That's not called false humble. That's called a brutal reality check. That's probably called not humble enough. What's cool though is that in this environment, I'm playing the teacher role, right? In this environment, I'm the teacher. So I'm going to show you the stuff that I am pretty sure about, the areas that I am doing well. Then with Julien in our personal mastermind, we're going to talk to each other on a peer-to-peer level. Then when we go to the people who we're learning from, they're going to just hammer us. So when Julien creates a group, for example, the academy that he's created, Julien's there hammering you, his coaches are there hammering you, and their peers are there hitting you up, and you're helping other people. That's why he took that approach. You want to take any opportunity like that you can. I would urge you to do the TM Academy. But in addition to that, I would also say you got to be setting up these groups on your own all the time. I only did our team to get that group. I only did it. When I was first teaching, let's say that I had 3 students paying me, let's call it $10. 3 students, just to make an easy number. When I would bring in other teachers, it wasn't like I had enough demand to get $20 and take part of their check. Usually I would give up my students. I would teach less and just run around promoting to help them. Why did I do that? Because I needed a mastermind. I've probably invested in my life just to get around the right people, $30, $40, $50 million. Why do you think that I made all these YouTube videos and put them online? I'm like, motherfucker, I probably spent $30, $40, $50 million to learn from my peers. I don't want to just die and for all that information to be gone, so I'm going to put that shit on YouTube. Now, ironically, the average person watching our shit on YouTube doesn't pay for it, so they're like, just fucking, I'm stupid, blah. They don't get it because they have nothing invested. They're not a qualified person to learn from it. But for somebody who is determined to learn from that material, that's why when we walk down the street, guys come up to us crying. Every day, people come up to me and they just start bawling their eyes out. I'm like, dude, chill, I'm kind of stupid. But they're like, no, that makes me like you even more that you said that. I'm like, no, I'm kind of stupid. But they say that and they're just crying their eyes out. Why? Because that's not the people who it wasn't meant for them. There's a lot of people it's not meant for them. But for the people who it is meant for them, they saw that we went out, here's what we did. We went to the best people. First, we became a mastermind ourselves. As we got more money, we went to the best people. We take ideas that we get from the very best people in the world. We take our ideas from our group and we teach. And this is a big one. We take the ideas that we get while teaching and then we package those into videos and put them online for you. That's the mission of Real Social Dynamics. Then from there, when you want to go and get around people who want to be inside that wall, when you just want to get inside the boundary of good people, that's where things like TM Academy come in, because we can make all the free videos that we want, but unfortunately, the only way that we could cordon off the people on YouTube is if we didn't show the video. That wouldn't make any sense. I mean, I suppose we could make some like teaser video and say you have to go through a questionnaire to get in, I guess, or something. But things like groups, you're creating a boundary. So it's important to join things like TM Academy because it creates a boundary of people who aren't serious and will distract you and will essentially, it's like if you're living in a country and there's no boundaries or border in that country and the place is just a crap hole because it's just being run amok. You want to have boundaries. I'm the first guy that wants to go to the expensive club in Vegas because I don't need a bunch of idiots in there. When you go to, I mean, this is sort of a weird one, but take Equinox. You guys know what Equinox Gym is? Okay, it's a very expensive gym. It's a couple $100 a month. You can go to LA Fitness for $39 a month. You can go to Equinox for $225. You may not be aware of this. The equipment at LA Fitness, most of the ones I've been to, is nicer than Equinox. The Equinox equipment's cleaner. They use Kiehl shampoo, but that's about it. I mean, I literally don't see the difference at Equinox from LA Fitness. In fact, LA Fitness had better hours than Equinox does. But you want to know why you go to Equinox? Because when I went into LA Fitness, I had regular altercations. It was not uncommon. The guys would just walk by me. They just walk right through me and bump me off to the side. Some guy on steroids, he just mad at the world. He would just walk through and blow me over to the side. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, get out of my way. I'm on the juice. I'm like, okay. Guys yelling at each other. I had multiple gay dudes come and try to fuck me in the sauna at LA Fitness. No joke. I mean, it was epic. I can tell you that story. You know? Some of them were really big too, and it hurt, man. It was bigger than it. So, some of them get the worst blowjobs, man. At Equinox, they give the best. Oh, but the reason that both Julie and I go to Equinox is just, it's chill. Like people there don't fuck around. If someone's acting the fool, the staff's like, yo, could you chill? They're like, yes, yes, yes. They chill because they're just getting better people around. It's just a boundary. I don't even think you got to go to Equinox. Actually, sometimes I think it's kind of cool to be around just the regular people and just be around a little bit of conflict and stuff. But you got to pick your spots. I may wind up going back to LA Fitness. Sometimes I miss the idiots that just jam me to the side in a weird way. I'm like, that was the real world. You know, it's kind of like connects you to the real world. But I mean, why do people live in, say, a gated community? It's to keep out idiots. So as you move up in the world, you have to realize you've got to keep out idiots. Things like when you're super rich, what do you have to buy? Security guards. Why do you get security guards? Because if you're super rich, idiots are going to come try to kidnap you. So you're paying security to create a boundary. Mastermind groups are essentially a boundary to get it to where you're not dealing with the type of people who are going to distract you and burn down your opportunity cost. So you're at a point where it's about your time. Now, when you're new, say you're earlier in your career, you've got to be very choosy because you're going to do something for free. Get the right people. Pick people here who will get around you. There is several multimillionaires who have met at Summit and built businesses at Summit that we've seen. You've got a great group of people right here in this room. So pick the right people. And then in areas where you want to get better, join those groups. I've joined EO. I've joined the Summit series, which was the craziest mastermind group. I mean, good God, I'm sitting there with heads of countries, business owners. I mean, talk about like many of these top tech guys I hang out with. You guys have probably seen my Instagram stories. You see me hang out with tech billionaires and things. These are people who I met in those mastermind groups. That's how you meet them. You don't just meet them by like hang with celebrities. You go to mastermind groups. You meet these people as peers. When you go to these groups, people will automatically associate themselves with you because they assume that you're legit. And people want to invest in, they want to engage. So we've spent a lot of money on these groups, but like I told you, it's a come up. We start off, we didn't have a dollar to spend. Me and him met during the economic recession. We would drive to Phoenix from LA. His car had no air conditioning. I was flat broke. So he would drive in the middle of the night with no air conditioning because as soon as the sun would come up, we would die. Anybody here ever drive in Phoenix in the summer? It's gonna fucking kill you. We saw a very beautiful sunrise that trip. And then as we got in, the sun started to come up and we almost died. We're flat broke. So we became a mastermind with each other and with other instructors that you see here, and I'd been doing that for a while at that point, hustling it out. Later, as I got more successful, I joined things like EO, Summit Series. Later, as I got more successful, we got better tutors to come in, more help. So what you want to do, the way you're going to do this is you're going to raise your earning potential, and as you raise your earning potential, you're going to join better and better groups. So I would never say to somebody who's flat broke, oh, go join the 25K group. That would be the dumbest move you could ever do. There's an appropriate point in your life where that makes sense. There's a point that you're at in your life where joining a group like that makes sense because the amount that you'll save, like the amount of money that you'll save or the amount of extra money you'll earn, like for most of those guys, say in the 100K group, they're going to make an extra 5 or 10 million that year. So it's no issue to create a quick boundary for 100K to get the other people out and then and to get those tips and then move up. When you're new, you're younger, or whatever age you're at, when you're on your come up, that's where you got to find the right peers. People will come to me all the time. They're like, "How do I get in your mastermind group with with Julien and with Derek and with all your homies?" I'm like, "You don't." Yeah, but I want to roll with you guys. I'm like, "You don't." No, but I want to roll with you guys. How do I just roll with you? You don't. Well, why not? Because we didn't. The way that we did it was we came together as a group. We had our come up. And now, as we've had our come up, all those high status people that we couldn't get at before as we're coming up are like, wait a minute, I want to hang, or not all of them, but a lot of them are like, we want to hang out with you now. Now we want to link up with you guys. So it's a process of getting around those right mental frequencies to get around people that are focused on the right things, people that aren't wasting opportunity costs, people that aren't derping around, people that are more positive, people that are focused on what actually matters, people that are focused on impact. And as you get around that, it becomes your general way of being. Now, if you want to get around a guy like Julien, well, join the academy, do that. Later, as you're on your come up, someday he's going to be chasing you to hang out with you. And that shit actually happens to us. We can't get Alex Castro to call us back. Right? I mean, we can, but he does it out of sympathy. So, right, because Alex is a guy who we mentored. Now, Alex, he's fucking killing it. We got to go chase him for his time. That's how it works. Max came up at RSD back in the days, like little dorky Max. Now, Max is fucking crushing it. We're like, hey, Max, can we get a tip on the latest clickbait or whatever it is, right? Oh, how the times have changed. So, as you move up, the dynamic shifts to where people are chasing you now. And it's all about hustling, all about shifting your inner game, and all about getting around the right people. And again, people who you look up to, people who you're peers with, and people who you're teaching.
If it's just you and yourself, it's so easy to slack off and not do it. Like say you have a commitment, it's like, I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow. In the moment, you're all psyched, but then tomorrow comes, you're like, I could go, I could not go, and no one would find out, except for me. It's fine. But if someone's on the line, even if it's like your ego running you, it's like someone knows about it, your ego will be like, I cannot look like a fucking idiot in front of that person. I gotta go now. So you have to involve other people. If it's just you, it's so easy to just stay stuck. And that's why even when I first started going out and say, talking to girls, success with women, I could not do it on my own. This is a true story. I've talked about it in many videos. I could not do it on my own. The first 3 months, like 2-3 months of me going out, I'd go out during the day and I'm like, I'm gonna go say hi to a girl today. And I take my little train in Switzerland, go out and just wander the streets. Like wandering around, I'm like, fuck, I gotta say hi, spending hours not doing shit.
Who here's done that?
Yeah, it's the worst feeling, especially when you don't do it at all and then you're like, I gotta go home now. And you didn't even end with at least one hello. You're just like, oh, I am such a failure, it's horrible. And like 2-3 months, I was sticking at it, nothing, until, and this is also a very true story, I found this little group, this little lair in Switzerland, where there's like 3 other guys, no one really knew about it, and they were going out to say hi to girls. I'm like, fuck, let me meet them. Go out, and it's the weirdest people I've ever seen in my life. We're all meeting at this spot, and I see them. One guy, kid you not, is wearing like a top hat with a pink boa, like a mystery clone. And this is a city where like my friends, like the people I know are walking by, I'm like, oh my God, people are gonna see me with this guy, oh my God. Then it was a smaller guy and another guy, and they're just running around doing shit. And that's what actually allowed me to do my very first open, my very first, hey, how is it going? There's no way I would have been able to do it without them being part of it. Why? Because I'd see them do it, and I'm like, oh shit, if they can do it, I can do it. And not just that, but they're all doing it. I'm like, I don't want to be the odd man out not doing it now. I already jumped off the plane. I don't want to look like an idiot in front of them. It's okay for me to look like an idiot in front of me alone, but not in front of them. And at the last minute, I still waited till the last minute, but I did it at the last minute, first hello. And then that just opened the doors for everything. And I was like, holy shit. And I literally started thinking, okay, where am I blocked in life? How can I use this mastermind? How can I create a mastermind around it? How can I create leverage around it for me to do it? And that's what I kept on fucking doing. Literally in all areas. To this day, I have multiple mastermind groups, not just in work, even on my phone. I have all these different WhatsApp groups where we hold each other accountable, categorized in different areas, different goals. I would not be here without it.
He even has the goat sacrifice one.
Yeah, there's literally my Illuminati group. I'm like, yeah, he missed, he mocked you guys today again.
Something how ridiculous that is. To the average person, they're so unaware of what basically almost every rich guy is in multiple mastermind groups. Do you guys know what YPO is? YPO is called Young Presidents Organization. The average person doesn't know what that is, but they somehow know what the goat sacrificing Illuminati is. Like, YPO is this thing that you could really get in. They don't know what YPO or EO is or Summit Series is or any of those things, but somehow miraculously they know about the Rothschilds sacrificing a goat, and that's how they got rich. And I'm not even saying that doesn't happen. I don't know. Maybe the Bilderberg Group is this crazy mastermind where they sacrifice a goat. That's the key to what we're missing. Like, RSD could go to $1 trillion if you just sacrifice that goat to the Bilderberg meeting, right? Maybe we're even the people, like, they've actually paid us to pretend like it doesn't exist, like make sarcastic remarks to throw them off our trail. But, maybe that's what was happening, right? And, that's how that's a real model of RSD. That's the real secret of RSD.
It's also, I just want to say, it's also because we keep looking for that magic pill. It's like, really, this is something to really think about. It's like, success is really not that surprising. It's really hard to do, but it's very simple and not that surprising. We think, it's not a mastermind, that's too simple. What? You just got to surround yourself with those types of people? It can't be that. It is that. And actually, that's one thing that will prevent you from a lot of success, is like looking for that magical thing. Why? Because you're so focused looking for that magical thing, you don't see the actual thing that's right fucking in front of you. It's crazy how that fucks with us.
I remember the first time I hiked Nepali coast. I did it more or less by myself. And, I had my girlfriend with me, but that's not, what I would consider a mastermind group. And so basically, it is, right? Come on, please, let's go. So, but the point is, hiking the Nepali coast is this 11-mile hike along the coastline of Kauai in Hawaii, and it's the hardest hike I've done in my life. And I remember it being so hard. So I tell all my friends all year, this is the hardest thing I ever did. I was exhausted. I thought I was going to die. All year I'm like, I thought I was going to die. This is so hard. I go with 5 or 6 of my buddies. we kind of just, I mean, it was very tough, but we kind of just breezed through it. And they're all like, oh, really tough stuff there, huh, Owen? Now, to be fair, it was still really fucking tough. But one was unimaginably tough, like pretty much along the lines of actual torture. The other was just really, really painful and tiring. One, literal torture. The other, manageably uncomfortable. Why is it? Well, think about a group of Vikings rowing the boat, right? Heave, heave. You try to, you go in the ocean by yourself, one dude, you're like, after like a couple hundred yards, you're like, this sucks, I can't do it. But if you've got just this group of fucking grunting men, like, rah, rah, guys like, let's go. You're gonna tap into this tribal part of your brain, and that tribal part of your brain just makes you keep up. I remember being on the trail the second time with my friends and the big group of us, and I was like, I'm tapping into reserves I didn't know I had. There's something weird about how we act in groups, no different than a group that gets negative. You see groups that have negative momentum, they go riot or they do these horrible atrocities because they're in a negative momentum. So think of the power of a riot when people that would never go smash things and burn them, probably a lot of you guys did that, I don't know. But like, any rioters here? But they get in this crazy group, they start smashing things and fucking them up because they tap into this different tribal part of their brain. Well, or things like even in a war, they go run out of a trench warfare. Well, in the same way, when you're doing that in positive areas that are contributive and uplifting and empowering, again, you get that group effect and people are just going for it. So if there's anything that you ever admired about instructors that you've seen up here this week, realize that they're all in groups like that. We're each other's group. We also teach. We also have people above us, and we're in that fucking Viking mode. So you're sitting there by yourself and you're like, how do these guys do this? Are they like superpower, like all this shit? No, we're just in a group of people that are pushing each other. And that's a decision that you have to make to get into.
We always think we've reached our max limit, but when you're in a group or when there's someone there with you, you'll be surprised, like you said, tapping into the reserve, how they'll push you way past that. Like you on your own, good fucking luck. And not just being pushed by that past limit, but like just being part of something greater than you, not being alone in it. If you're alone in this, it's so easy to just stay stuck or even regress and give up. Like if I didn't find that little group back in the day to say hi to, women, I would have just stayed stuck. I mean, like, well, it's just me. Everyone else is killing it. I'm the only one. I'm fucked. It's because of this. Your mind takes over. You just get pulled right back down into the darkness. You want to stay out? Find people. And it doesn't matter, as you said, like if they're way above you, on your level or below you, you know you're not alone. There's that sense of unity, that sense of, fuck, we're all in this together. Hell yeah, I am not alone. Because trust me, that pain or that isolation, it's so easy at convincing you you're alone, it's over, give up, give up, give up, give up. When you see someone else, though, who's just like you, and they're sticking at it, it's like, it's not just me. Something greater than me. That drive is insane. If you're just doing something for you, alone, you're fucked. Do something greater than you with other people, you're invincible.
You guys can probably tell that there's people on this earth that have tapped into different levels of motivation than you have, right? Can you sense it? There's levels of motivation that they've tapped into that you haven't yet. Myself too, Julien too. So you've got to ask yourself, is that person superhuman? Is that a Superman that sacrificed a goat? Or is that somebody who figured things out about how to push themselves that I didn't figure out? And maybe were those things perhaps very simple and not even fucking rocket science, but they just actually did those core essentials. Look, sometimes all you need is one person to believe in you. You just need one person to believe in you. And that can be a catalyst for change. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's recap what we covered so far here. When you join Transformation Mastery Academy, you will not only have access to the most cutting-edge transformational content out there, as well as different missions and challenges designed to transform you in ways you cannot imagine. You will also have immediate access to the secret VIP Mastermind Facebook group, where my coaches and I will personally give you all the support you need and hold you accountable. But we didn't stop there. When you become a part of Transformation Mastery Academy, you will also have access to get private one-on-one Skype coaching calls with my coaches and I. And this isn't something that we offer anywhere else. You cannot find this publicly. We only offer it to the most committed people, people who take this seriously. And on these calls, you will receive the most personalized feedback to who you are, to what you're dealing with, to your situation. You will receive all the personalized support you need. And at the end of these calls, we will do a personalized release around who you are, around what you're going through, and we will send you the MP3 of that release that you'll be able to go back to and listen to over and over and over again. And this is really where the gold lies. When you get this personal, when we really see what makes you tick, what's holding you down, we can just directly aim for it, and you'll let go of it, and your life will change in ways you cannot imagine. This is the most VIP experience you can get. You can't find this anywhere else. So if you're ready to take your life to the next level and transform, click the link here below, click it right now, and welcome to the tribe.